You led this entire process of taking a lot of SBI subsidiaries public, and the recent one is SBI cards, whereas you've given what markets wanted, which is that you managed to unlock the real value of SBI subsidiaries. But somewhere, do you think markets, you've not been able to convince a market purely looking at the stock price of SBI, the inherent strength what SBI currently enjoys? I mean, the stock price is refusing to go higher despite a good book and valuations which has come out because of unlocking of subsidiaries?
Yeah, that is very true. And I can say that is the only regret I have, that the market capitalization of the bank today, it does not reflect its true inherent value. But over a period of time, I'm still hopeful that market participant would realize ultimately that what is the strength of State Bank of India and give it a fair value.
What is your understanding on the way things now are likely to progress on the moratorium front? You've been vocal about the numbers, but when we spoke about the numbers, a little bit of time lapse has happened after that. Are you still confident that we are not in for any shocker now that things will start normalizing?
Doesn't seem to be so, and this I am saying purely on the basis of the loan book of State Bank of India. And it doesn't seem to be as bad. I'm not saying that it cannot turn out to be bad, but it's not a 1 quarter or 2 quarter thing. So depending upon how the economy performs going hereafter, that would be very crucial. But whatever has happened, if I look at its impact, and if we are talking about, say, FY21, then in terms of the impact on the overall non-performing loans of the bank or the requirement for provisions is going to be it's going to be perfectly in line with what bank has estimated and is readied itself. And 22 would be very, very crucial, FY22, because if there is a prolonged recession or there is a prolonged problem with the economy, then its impact on the financial system and the banking system will become inevitable.
Now, the which will just come up as we speak, which is that you mentioned Jet Airways and Yes Bank. 3 years out, what would be the importance of Yes Bank for State Bank of India? I mean, will it be treated as an investment which 3 to 5 years from now, you think SBI will be able to cash out of?
Yes, we are very confident, and the way the Yes Bank has started rebuilding its franchise, in 3 to 5 years time, State Bank of India would like to exit, because our commitment is 3 years, 26%, and after that bank would be free to divest. And within this period, 3 to 5 years, I am very, very confident that Yes Bank will emerge as a very strong bank.
The general view, Mr. Kumar, in the market is that banks have become very, very risk averse. Loans which they were approving of earlier largely because of caution, and given that last 8-10 years have been tough for the NPA cycle, banks, both private banks and public banks, they become extremely risk averse. Is that a feeling which is there now with bankers, that they want to be extremely risk averse, if I may say that in Hindi, that दूध का जला छाछ फूक फूक करके पीता है?
If I can answer in Hindi, वो एक natural process है, and nobody wants that the learnings from the past. And if we don't learn from the past, and if it is business as usual, what it was in the time of excess liquidity, then what have we learned? So one is that based on the learnings, most of the banks, I presume, that they have done some tightening around their underwriting practices and model. And if we want to be that it should be the same as it was when there was excess liquidity in the system. Banks were growing at 25%. The State Bank also had a growth at one point of time at 25%. And do we want to be in the to be lending in the same manner? But at the same time, we would be more than willing to share our sanction analysis report. We do a sanction analysis report every month, that how much work we are doing in terms of sanctions and disbursement. So I have no issue with that. We are sanctioning loans, we are growing our book, and our earnings from the loan processing are higher than the previous year. Definitely there has been a shift in the business mix of the banks, and it is more of retail now than the corporate. But in underwriting, we are definitely more prudent. There is no doubt about it. And if that is equated with risk aversion, then so be it. But there is a growth in the business. As we speak, YOY, we have grown by 1,40,000 crore. And that is about 7% plus. And this growth is after whatever repayments come. Bank's balance sheet is so big. So for a growth of 1,50,000 crore, you would have sanctioned and disbursed at least 3.5 lakh crore. So it's not that work is not happening, work is happening. And now still if people feel that without a PPA, without a coal linkage, you give a loan to a power IPP, so we will not do it again. And if you call it a risk aversion, then call it a risk aversion.
Given, Mr. Kumar, that there is definitely a unemployment uptick, there are job losses, should one worry about retail delinquencies? I mean, not for SBI, but in general, because look, there is an issue with salaried class now.
Definitely, to the extent it is salaried class, and if there's a job loss, there will be some impact. But what we have also to understand and realize that job losses are more in the informal sector. And the people who have just lost jobs, they are not in typical sense the borrowers. And that's why there will be a percentage of people who are salaried class and who have taken, say, loans against salary or a housing loan or a car loan, there will be some delinquencies. But largely the job loss which has happened is more in the informal sector and at the lower end of the salary structure, and that class is not a they don't have too much borrowing or personal borrowing. So that's why I believe that in terms of percentage, the impact on the retail will not be as high. And again, of course, for SBI, as you have said, the position is slightly different in the sense that we have more of government sector loans, and there the job loss is not there. Private sector, some of the sectors like aviation or hotel or tourism, and to that extent there will be impact.